Hello and welcome to another episode of From the Helm Live here at Gather Round at the Resources Rising Stars Conference in partnership with Bell Financial Group. I'm Grady Wolf, market analyst with Bell Direct, and a new unfamiliar faces here this afternoon, Ben Phillips and Jason Grieve from Norfolk Metals. Talk to us about what the Norfolk Metals story is and why investors should be excited over the next 12 months.
Yeah, I'm Ben Phillips, the exec chair of Norfolk Metals. We listed the company 3 years ago.
Yeah.
There was a very prospective asset called Roger River in Tasmania, copper gold asset, and Orroroo in South Australia, uranium asset. And we drilled Roger River in the end of 2022, got some visible copper. Everyone got excited.
Yeah.
We drilled Orroroo in the end of 2023 when uranium was 110 a pound, and delineated a bit more of a floodplain horizon where there was some uranium but no discoveries. So we spent all of 2024 looking for a new deal. We were very focused on copper due to our listing assets.
Yeah.
And then we've ended up taking this opportunity for the Carmen Copper Project in Chile, along with Transcendence Mining, Jason Grieve and Dave Fowler.
Jason, talk to us about Transcendence Mining and what the whole partnership is here heading into Chile.
Sure. Jason Grieve, Director, Transcendence Mining.
Yeah.
So we've been looking for a partnership arrangement on the Carmen Copper Project in Chile for some time. We're big believers in the fundamentals for copper, obviously. We like Chile. Chile's tier one jurisdiction for copper, produces around 25% of the world's copper. And the Carmen Copper Project is in a very favourable jurisdiction within Chile itself. So we're just about 80 kilometres south of the mining centre or mining hub of Vallenar. The site's readily accessible via the road, which runs past the neighbouring Relincho operation, held by Teck and Newmont. The geology on the tenement's very conducive to copper oxide heap leaching.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why we have driven the project ownership and will continue to drive the copper oxide agenda in the first instance, because we believe that will lead to a very low capital intensive development project.
Yeah.
So that's where, in the first instance, a lot of the copper oxide sort of exploration will go.
Yep.
We do have sulfide potential at depth as well, but we're going to be focused on the copper oxides in the first instance due to basically the ability to develop and rapid pathway into production, we hope.
Now, what attracted you both to Chile as a tier one jurisdiction for copper? And we know copper tailwinds are certainly there, and there's a lot of operators looking for copper in the area. What attracts you to the area, and why is mining so favourable in this area?
We haven't quite completed the deal yet,
Yep.
so we're in the due diligence phase. We
Yep.
expect that'll all,
close to coming too,
close to. But I went to Chile in February, March, and I think part of the attraction as well is there's a very specific framework there for mining. Don't quote me on the exact number, but I think there's 32 or 36 heap leach operations.
Yep.
And then Dave Fowler, who's Jason's partner and director at Transcendence, he's lived in Chile for 8 years before, speaks fluent Spanish.
So he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, we did a lot of meetings with lawyers, accountants,
Yeah.
banks. The general manager of exploration, Alex Raab, he's got 30 years experience in Chile, and he works with us now. So I think the attraction for Chile isn't just a global thematic, it's really the team that Jason and Dave introduced as well with Alex. And then I like a clear framework with regulation and rules. Like Chile isn't the cheapest area to operate, but it's also got a framework and a structure like Australia, and that's why you get a lot of global large producers there.
Yeah, talking about large producers there, how does the Carmen Copper Project compare to other projects in the region and infrastructure, accessibility and things like that? Are they ready to go?
Yeah, I would say, talking about the project itself, Jason mentioned Relincho up the road, which is that Teck Newmont joint venture. That's definitely an enormous project with billions of pounds of copper and lots of gold.
Yeah.
But that's more of a sulfide project. The reason why Carmen's very, very exciting is it is a copper oxide deposit that's known from surface. There's 8.5 kilometres of strike, of which the known resource covers about 1 kilometre.
Yeah.
And then there's a series of targets along that strike. And for us to get a JORC compliant resource, we're going to have to drill all the best holes again to get a resource and infill in between them to prove the structure. So it's exciting because it's advanced exploration because you're going to get a lot of drill hits from surface.
Yeah.
And then it's got huge development potential because Jason and Dave have delineated engineering studies, finance, and built many mines before, including heap leach projects.
Yeah, so talking about drilling in itself, once the DD's done, deal goes ahead, when do we expect drilling will start and what are you expecting to find straight away?
I'll take responsibility for when it will start, and Jason will talk about what we'll find. Yeah, so I mean, always optimistic to start everything as soon as possible, and we will do that. But like I said, step one is DD, notice of meeting, EGM, raise the bit of money that we've committed to.
Yeah.
But then it's a series of permitting. So you can get 40 scout drilling pads with any project in Chile, regardless whether it's 26 hectares or 2,600.
Yep.
So those 40 pads will be strategically located with our technical committee. We'll put that out to the market, the indicative drill program. We'll do that as soon as possible. There's a timeline in our presentation that shows sometime around July, and that's what we'll be shooting for. And I'll let Jason talk about what you
expect to hit.
Yeah. So, look, as I've previously mentioned, the primal focus of the first drilling program will be to delineate copper oxide resources. We are planning a few deeper holes down into the sulfides. There has been historical sulfide drilling with some fantastic indications of sulfides at depth, and that's all detailed in the ASX announcement that was released recently. But look, the program will be about 4,000 metres of drilling. It's going to be implemented in stages, and we have mentioned that there is a legacy delineated resource. It's no longer JORC compliant, unfortunately, but it was NI 43101 compliant when it was first put out by SRK. So we know that there is drilling further along strike outside of the known resource. So obviously we'll be doing follow-up drilling along strike. The intent is in the first instance to really grow a material copper oxide resource that we believe will lead into a rapid path for development.
And for our investors who don't quite know the difference between copper sulfide and copper oxide, can you explain the difference for our investors out there?
Yeah, sure. So the benefit of a copper oxide project is, number one, they're very modular. So you can get into production a lot easier. So the capital intensity is a lot lower with a copper oxide project. They can be a lot higher margin. Obviously, that's all relative to each project and their cost base. I would say from a mineral processing point of view, it really doesn't get any simpler. So they're robust, capital intensity is low, high margin, rapid payback. The other benefit of a copper oxide heap leaching project is you're making copper cathode at the mine gate. Whereas with copper sulfides do require very much a much greater capital intensity hurdle, because typically you need to build a concentrator. You need to size that concentrator appropriately right at the beginning. They're not as scalable as a heap leaching operation. And you're basically producing all your copper as a contained concentrate, which adds more logistical complexity to the project. You've also, you need to negotiate an offtake agreement and relevant TCs and RCs and all the things that go with that. Now, certainly in regards to the Carmen Copper project, we're not dismissing a sulfide project down the track, but it's not the number one priority at the moment. The number one priority is our copper oxides, which are extensive across the tenement package. They are from surface down to 30 metres, so they're very shallow. That would generally indicate a very low stripping ratio. There's also been some historical metallurgical test work done on the copper oxide resources that we have and demonstrate very high solubilities. So these tests were all done at 1/2 inch, very standard crush size for column tests, and the solubilities are up as high as 80%. And the bottle rolls on the tails are indicating there's still another 10% to get there with further optimisation. So we're expecting, very, very high recoveries. And as we go forward this year into our drilling program, we will be coupling our drilling to further metallurgical test work. We'll also be investigating a lot of the other geophysical anomalies, which are very extensive along the 7.5 kilometre strike length of the deposit. There has been a lot of geophysics done historically, and where the known resource is, we have a very good congruency or very good corresponding IP anomaly with geochem anomaly directly where the resource is.
Yeah.
And we can use that as a tool across the remaining strike length. And what we see up and down the strike length is a lot of walk-up targets that are drill ready, where we have the same geology, same geochemistry and the same IP and underpinning IP anomaly. So that tells us, everything's ready to drill.
Jason Grieve of Transcendence, Ben Phillips of Norfolk Metals, thank you so much for joining us from the Helm. We're so excited to see what the next 12 months looks like for you both. And obviously Chile, exciting times. So thanks for joining us from the Helm, and I hope you enjoyed that episode.